Hello, this is Mark here at Gary's Guitars in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about the non-vintage used guitar apocalypse. And this, I guess, might be part three if there's a part three. Um, I made a video half a year ago. It went big because um, people it just seemed to resonate with people. The fact that there's too many guitars in the used market, and the values have to come down. And a lot of people were using used guitars as a savings plan. And so they're like, well, I'll just buy this Les Paul, and then when I need the money, I'll just sell it and get all my money back. And so that's not happening right now. And a lot of people were kind of relying on the self-selling, sites, Reverb, eBay, Marketplace, that kind of thing, to really just get all their money back on this thing, to not have a seller kind of cut into the deal. So, but that's kind of failed. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So, first of all, where we've been, 6-ish months ago, I coined the term. Someone came up with someone came up with a slightly better term. But mine was not to be guitar apocalypse. That sounds very final, but that there's just a real disruption. So non-vintage used guitars. If you have a '64 Martin, it's the value is not going to fall on that. But people are selling their secondary guitars. People are selling their I think I want to play guitar because I'm locked in my house during COVID guitars. People are selling. So we find that in the brands of guitars that are really presenting themselves as the biggest sellers 4 years ago are now the biggest glut guitars. So back to the history of this. I coined the phrase, and it's because every day a couple of people were coming to the store trying to sell a guitar. And I was like, this hasn't happened in a long time. This is in the time that I've been in this business. I don't know if it's ever happened. Like a lot of people selling used guitars. And it's obvious that they're secondary guitars. And about 50% of these people were in need of the money, and 50% were just hedging against the future. And so I'm like, that's the problem. People sell things when they need money. Everything isn't always good and bad for everyone at the time. And so, like, every once in a while, someone's down and out, and they're going to sell something, and a guitar is something of value, and there's that. But also, people were just kind of like, I'll get rid of this Schecter. I'll get rid of this Epiphone, I'll get rid of this PRS SE and just keep my regular PRS. So, my prediction was a 20% reduction in price, and that has happened, I believe, in these instruments. So something that was $1,000 Les Paul Studio is now a $500 Les Paul Studio, or something that was, well, you can follow that through to its degree. A Princeton that sold new for $13.99 and now sells used for $800, not $1,000, maybe $899. Princeton's are great amps. Everyone bought a Princeton. And someone was in the store trying to sell a Princeton. I gave him the speech. I got to give the speech way too much. Actually, I'm getting faster at the speech about there's every day people are calling, people are bringing stuff in. And Jake was sitting over at the desk, and he goes, "Yeah, there are 500 of these for sale on Reverb right now." And I was like, "Well, that says something. There's no shortage of these great little amps." And therefore the price must come down, because we live in post-capitalism, but it's still capitalism. So people selling secondary guitars. Other stores, we have a big retailer here in New Hampshire who just they did a temporary moratorium on buying used gear. They're like, hey guys, sorry, we got so much used gear, we're going to blow it out and then buy your used gear. If you come in, we'll give you a voucher that you can come in later and trade or buy, but we just can't take your used gear. And all summer long, we're going to be selling this stuff. And I think their summertime clearance sale just finished up, because we're extending our summertime clearance sale. So obviously, moving used inventory, if you have a lot of it, is an issue. People are a Guitar Center. People come in here and said that Guitar Center, our local Guitar Center in our, in our town, isn't buying guitars. So I don't know if they're just not buying unremarkable guitars, or they literally just put a moratorium on used guitar purchases for now. So used guitars are not the place to be, apparently, although we have a store half full of them. So we'll find out. We buck the trends anyways. We're a service store. People come to us because they trust us, or they want a small retailer, or they want explanation from expert people. And so that's part of what we sell. And so I'm not terribly worried about that, as long as we can keep the prices in line with what people want to pay. So someone comes in with a guitar, I got to give them the speech. There's a lot of these out there. I know people are asking $2,000 for these on Reverb, but there's asking for and selling for, and they're actually selling for $1,200. And so that's what we should sell it for. And then, this is our offer based on that, or you can sign it. But it's a little heartbreaking to people. It's kind of giving them bad news, because they thought this was a savings plan. They thought this was a CD. They would put their money into something and get their money back later. And a guitar is not an investment. A guitar is a liability. But they're wonderful things. I'm not getting rid of any of my guitars. And it gives good opportunity for other people who are interested to get some good used gear cheap. So, and markets come up and down. And there's the famous quote. I think it was Jamie Dimon or some big finance guy, J.P. Morgan, or some big finance guy said, recession is something that happens every 7 months. That's the definition of recession. Economies go up, economies go down. That's what they do. Now, we didn't have a real recession, I guess, on paper. We were 12 years since the last recession or something. And then on paper, they could say, like, oh, this wasn't really a recession. This was just a contraction. But, the financial downtimes come. I mentioned last time that on my second video, I got a lot of people upset. I said people hear the economy is bad and they want to sell their secondary guitars. And people thought, like, oh my God, now this is getting political because the economy is so bad. And how can you say that people hear the economy is bad? Well, unfortunately, fortunately for us, and unfortunately for those of you in some places, we live in a place here that's not affected by any economic downturns. We're on the coast. We're in New England. We have enough affluent people around to keep everything kind of buoyant, and our customers are doing all right, and the economy here is not bad. New Hampshire is in a lot of ways there's problems, but so I didn't want to get kind of political and start talking about like what's going to happen in the future with the economy, because people go like, oh no, this is and it's our intention not to be political, but economics and the anthropology of economics does not vote. It just does what it does. So I predict some more economic disruption in the future, and that's going to lead to more retail disruption. There's going to be a continuation of the general, so I'm talking about the future now. We did have that reduction of 20%, I think, and I think there's another 5% coming. There's going to be a little more price reduction in the non-vintage used guitars. And then going forward, I see some more disruption in brick and mortar retail, maybe enough to affect Guitar Center's lifeline, meaning Guitar Center's in this position where they borrow money to pay the interest on their interest. Or something like that, or they borrow money to pay the interest on the loan, so they're not paying back the principal on these loans that they own, nor do they intend to. Guitar Center is being set up for the slaughter. It's owned by private capital, and it's been doing that. These videos I've made going back years now, talking about like the decline of Guitar Center, and people are like, where is it? Well, sometimes these private equity companies know exactly what they're doing. And they will, when the time comes, they will flip a switch, and then you'll show up one day and all the doors are locked. And I'm not wishing for that, by the way. I think if you're going to have a competitor, it should be an inept competitor, and you should be as close to them as possible, so you can differentiate yourself to those same customers. So I'm not hoping, there's no Schadenfreude, or however, there's no hope that they go under. So, there it is, Guitar Apocalypse Part 3. Thanks for watching. There's more videos, all sorts of videos, and more to come here on YouTube. I YouTube less, and now I miss it. So we're going to get back on here with our lives and all sorts of informative videos. And usually our videos aren't talking about the market, more like talking about specific instruments and amplifiers. So hit the like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Leave comments, and thanks for watching.